Hello, hello, hello. I'm Andrea Stevens,
And I'm Jeannette Mejias, and we are Web's Women.
where exposure brings strength. Hey,
Well, hello.
we got a guest today, baby. A guest.
Yes, I'm very excited. I'm going to let you do the honors.
Okay, I will. Randy.ray. I love the name. So I got to say it like multiple times. So I got to tell you, my husband met Randy at a market and he was like, I got this guy's card. He's really cool. I said, give me that card. I got to call him. And he donated to our cause for lung cancer for
Awesome.
Hemp Happens. Yes. And so I was like, I am calling him. So I called him. I don't know how long we talked on the phone. I think it had to be an hour and a half at least that we spoke on the phone. And he is super cool. He is a veteran, a former Marine. Randy.ray is in the house. Hi.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
We're doing great. Welcome, Randy. And I first want to say thank you for your service. And I'm really excited to get to know your story and to get to know you a little better. So welcome.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So this is like our Memorial Day edition.
Yeah,
right?
Perfect. Yeah. It's a great fit. That's for sure. So Randy, perfect. we want you to kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and your story, please.
Okay. So I went into the military when I was 18 and I went into the Marines. I worked on, you've probably known best for the Blue Angels, the fighter attack jets.
Yes.
The ones that do stunts and, things like that.
Yeah.
Shows. So I worked on, when you sit in the cockpit, I worked on all the electronical pieces of the gear, like the radar and things like that. And I did multiple different things, in the military. So I was a Marine Corps martial arts instructor. And anyway, I got hurt in the military. And after I got hurt, I tried to set my family up at the time for, to see, I was going to be getting out. So I went into the mortgage industry and became,
nice.
Mortgage loan officer. And then I did mortgage, broker for a brief period of time before the industry crashed. So,
yeah,
I got in at a great time and I got in at a bad time. So I just couldn't hang. I mean, so at the time, I don't know if you know, but it was when the industry was crashing in like 2008, 2009.
I remember.
I
do remember. Yeah.
There was people that were in the business for 20, 30 years and was just falling out left and right.
Gosh.
It was a crazy time. So anyway, after that, I went in to be I was a pawnbroker. So I went from
oh, interesting.
I went from Marines to mortgage broker to pawnbroker, and I stayed at that for a while. And then now I was in South Carolina, Beaufort, South Carolina for a while. And I've done multiple different businesses, restaurant, you name it. So I guess you'd call me an entrepreneur. Now I'm back in New Jersey. Mainly came here for my kids, and now I'm a real estate agent.
That is awesome.
Awesome.
Welcome back to Jersey.
That's right. I'm originally from New Jersey. So
okay. What part of New Jersey are you originally from?
I'm from where we drink water. Right? Water. We call it water.
Yep.
And what is it? This is my home.
Yes. You already know. Oh yeah.
So go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, wait, I gotta ask because I had Randy, I invited him to another event, speaking event. And so somebody said to him, what was the craziest thing at the pawn shop? Like, okay. And he gave like a clean version of like, what was like, okay, I don't want the clean version. Like, I want to know the craziest shit you ever saw in the punch.
Well,
that's what I want to know.
Randy,
I want to know, like,
didn't they have a reality show about that?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Okay.
I have so many stories though for the pawn shop. It's really hard to pick one. I think one of the craziest ones was a guy came in with a guillotine. What?
Hell?
A real guillotine. And I was like, what am I gonna do with this, first of all? Like, a guillotine? I mean, it was like, 10, 15 feet in the air on the back of a trailer. It was a real guillotine. Can you imagine? Like, and he was trying to sell it to me.
He brought it in with a not a pick. Oh.
It was attached to his truck on a truck.
Oh, he brought it like, oh.
Oh Lord.
Did you take it? I was just
No, I was like, what am I gonna do with this for one? And then I'm like, is this illegal? I'm like, can I get in trouble for purchasing this? I'm not really sure here right now.
Yeah.
So, I did a little research on it. Actually, the last person that had their head lobbed off was in 1970, I think 9, maybe.
Oh.
1976.
My gosh.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, right?
That is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, well, where did he get it? Did he tell you like the story behind it?
Not too much.
Well, I would have wanted the whole
"Where did you
story.
get this at?" He just kind of like gave me the eye, like, don't worry about it. I'm like,
Yeah.
"I'm buying this.
Right.
I want to
Don't
know
worry about it.
Right. Yeah, I want the story, and then you can get the heck out of here with it. Yeah.
He said something that was his father got it, so I don't know where or nothing like that.
Huh.
It was pretty wild. A guillotine.
Interesting.
Wow. That's crazy.
Pretty interesting.
And it was out in front of my parking lot. You know what I mean? On the back of the car. I'm like, hey.
Did you think the cameras were going to show up? That's what I would have been wondering. Are the cameras coming?
Am I punked right now? What the hell?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or whatever,
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. You never know, I guess.
Right.
Right. You never know what people have stashed away.
Gosh. A guillotine? And
Yeah,
then
I mean, I guess.
he's like, yeah, my neighbors won't let me park it in the yard. I'm thinking, you think?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Geez.
Don't let you go over to that guy's house.
Yeah. Well, I wonder where he didn't store it there. So he stored it somewhere. So what the hell else does he have over there? That's what I'd be wondering. What else did they have?
Oh my God.
That's funny. That is funny. So, yeah. So I guess, I mean, I don't know, Jeanette, what else do you want to know? Because I know certain things that I don't want to just, I want you to ask. I want you to find out a little bit. I want you to dig because I already dug into Randy
You want me to
for an hour and a
dig, huh?
half. So I want you to pick. Yeah. What else do you want to hear? Because the pawn shop thing really was like cool to me. I always want to know what stuff people have. We looked at houses and here in New Jersey, and we looked at this house that was super old. It was creepy as shit. I was creeped out. Well, we went into the basement. And so I was like looking around for things because I was like, for sure, there's stuff in here. Like there are things here. Right. So we go in the basement and there's this whole wall. And now I'm getting into like ghost shit, but there was this whole wall and it had like old tools, like old tools. And I was taking pictures down there because there was all this weird stuff. So I was taking pictures of all of this. And as I was taking pictures, so my husband went to touch one of the tools on the wall and this flash went over his arm through my camera, like through the lens. And I was like, oh my gosh, like there's something here. There's something here. Right. So I started like, it kind of freaked me out. Now that was in the basement of the house. Well, when we went to the barn, we go to this barn and it's got a bear head and bear skin and like all this stuff, all this farm equipment that was super old. Well, it was cool. I took pictures, but in the there was a basement to the barn that was all dirt and there was a tunnel. So, and there was no electric at all down there. So I was kind of freaked out. Of course, my husband's like, I'm going. He's got a flashlight. And I'm like, I'm not going. But as I heard him down there going, wow, this is cool. Like, wow, I thought, damn, I got to go see. Right. So my son's like, I'm going. And I thought, he's afraid of everything. If that kid's down there, I can do it. Right? So, and my son was only, what was he, 6 at the time? He was 6. Right. So I go down, it's all dirt walls and all dirt over my head. And we're going through this tunnel and we come out to this living space. There's all this living space where I guarantee you that the slaves used to be. It was the craziest thing. There was old furniture down there, like old. It was, I kind of got like, I started getting heart palpitations because I'm like, first of all, this is horrible. Like I'm underground, like people stay down here. Like this is just, I was like freaked out completely. But so all that stuff, I'm always curious about all these things, which is why the pawn shop was so interesting to me. Cause I was like, I know, if I saw that just going to see homes, right. And looking at homes, I know for sure that, you had to see some crazy things in the pawn shop, which is why the pawn shop was so interesting to me. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going down the ghost road, the old home road.
Yes.
Yeah. So the pawn shop, got me. And I kept thinking, I wish he still had it because I want to come there, check out what's going on. I want to work there, Yeah.
No, it's funny you mentioned that about the, maybe the slaves or, whatever the case may be, or even, they call it the Underground Railroad. My great grandfather used to own a lot of property here in, South Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And there was actually, a few stories even in the, family that one of them actually there was a fireplace, and on the side of the fireplace was a secret door.
Oh.
And the secret door, you could go in that door and go behind the fireplace and probably fit like, a few people behind the fireplace and then seal that door.
Oh my God.
You wouldn't even know that, they were behind the fireplace. And probably, that was one of the best places to go, maybe because there was so much stone and wall, so you couldn't hear anybody too much behind there or something, but that was pretty, wild.
Yeah.
They had a few other, things like that in those houses. So it's interesting. Very interesting.
It is very interesting.
It is. But I thought, like, if I had that house, right, those old tools and things, like, what am I going to do with all of those things, right? I would bring it to a pawn shop, right? And see, like, hey, where
do you get this at?
Right. Like, how old is this even, and yeah. So yeah, fun.
It is fun.
I like to bring out the fun stuff. Yeah.
Well,
yeah. So go ahead, Jeannette.
Okay. So, since I'm the one who's going to be doing a little bit of digging, I think I kind of want to go back to the time that you served in the military, Randy. One of the things that I guess I would be curious to know, like, how do you think your time in the military affected you in any kind of way? Is there anything that you want to share with regards to your time in service?
Well, first of all, I think that before I even joined the military, I was always a person that said, I'm not going to do that. I'll never do that. I'll never do this. I'll never do that. And, I think when we're, in high school, we really don't know what we're going to be doing. I mean, we can kind of have an idea. And there's some people, I think, that know exactly what they want to do from 6 years old and they do it. They're a brain surgeon and that's, and you can mark them, but I think for the majority, we really don't know exactly what we're going to be doing or what we really want to do. Mm-hmm. And I just say that to say, I didn't know what I was going to do. And I told myself, I'll never join the military. I'll never get married. I'll never have kids. I'll never get a divorce. I'll never, and everything that I said, never.
And all those boxes checked off for you, right?
Exactly.
Isn't that crazy?
I'm rethinking, I'll never say never. And I'm like, wait a minute, I just said never? No, okay.
And it's so true, Randy, that people always say never. Because when people say never, it occurs, right?
Right.
Wow. And how long were you in the military service when you joined?
Say that again.
How long were you in service when you?
7 years.
Oh, okay. Wow. And how was that? How was your family with when you made that decision? Were you supported, or I kind of feel like now a lot of even my own son has been there's recruiters out there just trying to get young, impressionable boys to serve in the military. And so how was your family like when you decided to do that? What was their take on that? Did they
Um,
support you, or they kind of felt like, are you nuts? Or
yeah, they supported me. But
oh, good.
there was definitely like, what? What are you doing? And I'm like, because actually, to be honest with you, I was actually enrolled in Wilmington, Delaware College.
Mm.
Uh,
Okay.
right out of high school, I went and enrolled in there for criminal justice. So I was gonna go be
Really?
a state trooper. And so it's just my
Mm.
friend, the way it happened is my friend was like, hey, would you mind taking me to the recruiting office because I have to go sign some papers for the Marines? And I was like,
Mm.
yeah, sure. So I drove him up there. And once I got in there, the recruiter was like, hey, why don't you take this little 10-minute test? And I was like,
Oh my
I
goodness.
said,
So they
yeah, no problem.
surveyed
And I was
you?
like, and he like looked at it, he was like, oh wow. You scored pretty good, man. And I was like, oh yeah, 17. I'm like, oh yeah, and he's like, yeah. He's like, jump up there and see how many pull-up bars. We're young, we're like, oh yeah, 17 pull-ups, like, and he goes, wow. He's like, that's almost perfect, right? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, so 20 pull-ups in the Marines is perfect for the Marines. So that's a perfect score. If you can do 20
Oh,
pull-ups,
okay.
that's perfect. So I did 17 at 17, and he's like, yeah. So it just went from there. And he's like, then he
Wow.
takes the paper and he's like, you can be this and you can be that and you can be this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy, he sold me.
So much for I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
Oh man, wow. So that's how it started.
And is the boot
Yeah.
camp really that
Pretty cool.
intense when you join the Marines? I hear like it's really
So yeah.
So yeah. So I know. I think I think we are a mute. I think it went on mute.
Okay.
Jeanette, repeat that question.
You're back.
no, I'm back. Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, gotta love the internet. Gotta love the internet on these recordings. So my question was about the boot camp, and is it so rigorous? And what was that like for you? Did you ever feel like you had to tap out, like I can't get through this? I hear like it's really like intense. Like I know that's like we're going way back, but I'm just curious like what that was like for you.
So I don't know I can't speak for everybody, just for myself, right? It's like anything. If you've been through anything in your life that you've had like something like that's just, simultaneously, it's just like bam, 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 bam. So it's kind of like you're in a whirlwind. At first it's like, you take the test, you this, you that, you're going here, you're talking to this person, you're talking to that person, and then, you're in boot camp, you're going through all that, you're going through all this training, and it's just like, it is a lot. It could be a lot. So I think for myself, it was a lot, but that's what it's for. It's to stress and test your limits, mentally and physically. And I think the Marines is one of the finest fighting forces in the United States and in the world.
Yeah.
And some people won't agree with the military, or or sending their kids off to war, or whatever the case may be. But it is kind of like me personally, it's a necessity, for our freedom. And there's a lot of things that I hear, a lot of people I think, I don't want to say come at the military, but kind of like maybe don't understand sometimes. And my personal opinion is like they down the military in a way, you know, or whatnot, but they're the ones out there fighting while you're sitting home sleeping.
Right.
What
That's
would you
right.
say? What would you say to those people?
I just would say, you know, if you can be that way, and I don't want to say down the military, but have that mind thinking, maybe step back and just try to have a little more understanding. I'm sure that there's something that you went through in life that you didn't understand at first, so you downed it or you came at it in a negative way. But then later on in life, maybe you experienced something. Maybe you had your parent pass or something, and you looked at the person that their parent passed and said, whatever, they should just get over it. But then your parent passed and now you understand them. So that's all I'm trying to say is maybe it's something where you can actually step back and say, well, okay, maybe I can understand that, you know. Does that make
Or
sense?
just talk, I guess, talk to people,
Absolutely.
right? Understand it, because you have to talk to people to understand.
Yeah,
right?
or try to understand. I'm not saying I
Right.
completely understand it, but you know, just to say, okay, well, you know, I'm not saying I agree with everything. Of course not. That's just like everything. We didn't agree with our parents with everything, but now that you get
Right.
older and go through some things, you can kind of relate to them. You're like, okay, I can understand that, you know.
Yeah. Right. Right.
That
Well, yeah. Yeah, it does. And I think that it needs to be said too, and not just for the military, but for just what's going on in the world today. Everybody has a different opinion. Everybody has a different feeling. Everybody is going through emotional, there's emotional baggage. They're going through emotional things. And
Sure.
just to hear everybody else out, because my situation isn't the same as either one of yours, right? And we're not. So if I don't listen, how am I going to learn anything? You know, so it makes sense. It does. So, you know what, too, Randy, I wanted to ask you something else and about mental health, because May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so I did want to bring that up because, there are a lot of people that come home that struggle, veterans that come home that they struggle. And mental health is not just for the military, obviously, but because you're here and because you've seen and heard, and I've experienced things that are not great with, friends and family that I know, and the situations have ended very badly. But mental health is super important. And is there anything that, because I don't feel like I personally, and what I've experienced with my family and my friends and my brother's friend, I don't feel like veterans are helped when they come home enough sometimes with their mental health. So as regular citizens that are here, what is it that you think that we can do to improve on what is going on for veterans when they come home?
Okay, that's a really good question. And I'm glad you asked that. So I have to give you a little bit of background. That's kind of the way I am. I explain things a little bit from previous, like I talked about me being young and in the high school and not really knowing what I was going to do or whatnot. So my background with my family has been like against medication with doctors, or not going to the doctors on a regular basis. I think statistically, even men don't go to the doctors. They don't like to go, oh, I just cut half of my finger off. I'll be all right. Yeah. Right. And they wrap
so
it up with gauze. And
so true. Oh my goodness.
It's getting infected and everything. You're like, you need to go. And you're like, oh, no, I'm good. Oh, I got this. Right.
Hey, I got 9 other fingers. Who cares?
Right. There you go.
Right. That actually happened to my grandfather. He cut his finger off. He did cut part of his finger off, and he was like, it's fine.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Construction guy, right? He just was like,
so-
whatever, it's fine.
And old school, like to Randy's point, like, beliefs and cultural beliefs too. So
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why I give that background to say, I think it starts in the family. and with our families. So maybe educating our families. And it's sometimes I think it's hard to reach certain people because they're stuck in their ways. They're old school, if you want to call it that. And they're like, we never really went to the doctor, or we never went for this, or, you know, certain stigmas. Because back in the day, I mean, I could be wrong with this, but you know, at certain point in times in life with mental health, if you were deemed bipolar, or let's just say that, or whatnot, you know, you were taken off to a mental institution, and that was a bad thing.
Right.
So I think we've came a long way since then, but I think we also still have certain beliefs or stigma, or am I making sense here? So
Absolutely.
I think it starts with education and understanding, once again, to understand, okay, well, we're not going to be hauled off to a mental institution just because we have a little bit of anxiety. Everybody has anxiety, I think, nowadays, especially during the pandemic.
Yes.
But
And do you think the medications make people, do you think that, like, I agree with you on the medication part. And I do believe that is pushed, especially with my, you know, someone that I know, and when they came out of the military and they came out alone. Their, you know, his entire group that he was with ended up being blown up, and he was the only one to walk out. And so, yes, so that carrying that was difficult, but I think immediately, like, I think a lot, the medication part, right? Like, okay, well, take this, you know, and then not being able to find even to have someone to talk to, you know, not having that. It was always sitting on the phone for hours and hours and hours, waiting a little bit to figure out, like, can I get an appointment to talk to somebody? But the medication is there to calm down. You know what I mean? And I felt like, you know, as regular people, right, we're trying to talk through it, and we're trying to figure out, how do we help, you know? And I think that sometimes, do you think the medication is pushed as a just as a time period, like, okay, well, we got to do something, right? We got to do something, and fast.
Well, like I said, so I've been in a period of time where, you know, a lot was changing at the time I was going in, and a lot has really changed in the military since I've been out, you know.
Right.
So you figure this is in the 2000, and there was a lot changing even as I was going through. And the Veterans Affairs, I think, have came a long way since I was even in. And I've seen the progression with the Veterans Affairs. Okay, for veterans that get out, they can go to the Veterans Affairs, excuse me, and get the help that they need. So, you know, I can't speak from anyone else's perspective. I can only speak from my own opinion and what I've seen.
And what you've seen, yeah.
And
what you've been through personally.
I have actually seen a tremendous help in the veterans community with people as yourself and Jeannette that want to reach out to veterans and understand it, or have seen a family member or someone like that. That is awesome. But I also have seen the institution or Veterans Affairs come a long way, even from what I've dealt with from the beginning. So, you know, it is a work in progress. You know,
communication, though, is more, like you said, understanding and communication
and understanding. Absolutely. So, and that's why I think it really, there should be an emphasis on family education and understanding.
Yeah.
Once again, I go back to, you know, how we were raised. So, you know, me personally, if I had any problem, or if I had any kind of thing that I was dealing with, let's say mentally, and I'm just giving an example, I didn't want to go to the doctor.
Right.
Because of the stigma, because of saying, oh my gosh, I have anxiety. Yeah, I think people are hesitant to go to the doctor because of maybe what they'll deal with by family members, which is very
Yeah.
close to them,
Yeah.
and also their friends and things like that. And that's a big deal. And, you know, it might seem small, but I will tell you that that is a big deal to hold people back from getting the help that they actually need.
Yeah.
So that's why I say education and understanding, because if you understand that, then you can kind of go about it. And, you know, in the military, like my terms would be like to attack the problem, or, you know, to, you know, help remedy the problem, you know.
Right. Right.
Now you understand how maybe to go about talking to a veteran or talking to the veteran's family members to have, you know, to get them the help that they need.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
Yeah.
people can have certain things that they've dealt with from the military and get the counseling and get the medication and get the services that they need
Mm-hmm.
and the support. And then I'm not saying that they don't have that disease or have that complication or so-called problem. I don't say problem. They have that situation, but now they can, they don't have it anymore, or they have mild symptoms, or have gotten through that period of time.
The phase. Yeah. Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. And I guess it does, but
Good.
it matters how you were raised. I think everyone's different. Like we talked about here, everybody's different. Everybody went through something different. So yeah, I guess that it makes sense that it depends on how you were raised, how comfortable you are with your family, your friends, you know, and that way I think we've seen improvement because it's talked about more. Before it was never, like years ago, it wasn't really spoken about. My grandfather came back, you know, when he, you know, my grandfather never spoke about anything that happened in the military. Not a story, not a nothing. We knew nothing growing up, nothing. He finally, right before he died, he was 93 and he died 3 years ago. And he told my son some stories. And I said, my son's telling me this. And I thought, he never said a word my whole life, nothing. Neither one of my grandparents, neither my grandfathers, neither one of them spoke a word, nothing. And I think that now everybody's speaking out and speaking up a little bit more, that any improvements that need to be made, you know, pecking away at them because we're opening our mouths. Everybody's opening their mouth at this point for everything, but including here.
You know, it is like this. And I can use, like I say, myself for an example, and friends of mine. That it's like a stigma. It's like, you know, something's wrong with you. You have a problem. You know, the first thing anybody wants to ask you is, oh, you were in the military? And they'd say, like, a girlfriend or anybody's like, everything okay? Like, you know, like, you wake up at night with the night terror, or, you know, and
right, because they go by what they see in the movies, Randy.
Yeah,
right?
you have to, how would that make you feel? You know, like instantly you're a basket case, right? So that just right there in that one scenario can hold a veteran, or anyone for that matter, from getting the help that they need.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So it's okay to ask a question like that, but you know, you maybe have to follow it up with, like, I just want to know so I can maybe help you, you know, or something like that.
Yes.
You know, me, you know, especially I know myself, you know, I would take like that in a negative connotation at first. I was like, why would you ask me that? Like,
Well, don't come at me with that. Like, come on.
and I just want to know, you know, and if you're like, no, I just want to, you know, I don't know, you know, my dad was this way, or, you know, whatever. And
because
I
of the
just wanna,
experience.
you know, I can maybe help you, whatever, if you need help. And I'm like, oh, okay, now that makes sense, you know,
Right.
but, you know, instantly when you ask a question or something like that, I'm just being real. And, but, you know, so I think I think education and understanding, you know, that's one of the biggest keys I could say. And I don't know if you know, I just want to give some statistics out there. And
Please.
I don't know if you know, or the listeners know, but 20 veterans approximately, now statistics can change, but approximately 20 veterans die every day from suicide.
Oh my God.
20 a
Really?
day. that's about 7,300 veterans that die every year just from suicide.
Yeah, that's
So,
terrible.
the mental health is a huge component in this. There's a lot of things that these guys go through. I have a few friends that dealt with the same similar situation as you. They're walking and 20 feet in front of them, their buddy is,
Oh.
blown 50 feet in the air, and they could only send like a Ziploc bag to their
Oh
family.
my God.
Or it's horrible.
And that's so traumatic.
Yeah, some of the things
Like,
guys go through. But like I said, I think we have came a long ways with the mental health and awareness. I think it's just a little, like I said, a little more education with the families and understanding, and also understanding how to approach, a veteran. Once again, my experience, I didn't even want to talk to anyone.
Yeah.
Or somebody will say, I know where you're coming from. If it's okay, I know where you're coming from with the medication, side of it. Right. Because some places could potentially just push medication, and they wouldn't maybe push, or, suggest some counseling or whatever, or then they also have things out now that's like, it's almost like meditation, mindfulness.
Yep.
And this isn't just with the veterans, community. This
Right. It's across the board.
Yeah, it's across the board. So it's a good thing. But, like someone like me, like we're stubborn sometimes, and how we were raised, and, we're like, it's not going to work, and we don't even give it a try. We don't even give it a chance.
Yeah.
So,
I'm one of those non-meditators that always said, I'd rather punch a punching bag than go and, sit there quietly and kumbaya. And I always said that. And now I'm a 15-minute meditator in the morning. 10
never
minutes,
say
15.
never, as Randy says.
Right. Never say never.
Yeah,
Now I'm a 10-minute
meditator.
meditator.
Example,
Yeah. And I was against it. Well, up until a month ago, that I'd rather punch the punching bag.
I think sometimes we get to a point in our lives, right, that as we start to mature and get older, we start to open ourselves up to things that perhaps we were closed to when we were at a younger age, right? And
Absolutely.
I was the same way too. Like, that's all like, gimmicky. Like
Right.
and
Mumbo
like
jumbo.
you judge, right? That's like gimmicky stuff. What is that? But it's not until you arrive, right, to a certain place in your life, you're like, maybe I should just give this a try, And I remember, and you guys are gonna crack up. I remember just not recently, I started getting into, like crystals and, cleansing them, and it just made me feel good. And but people are like, what are you, off your rockers? I'm like, let me tell you something. I want to hold rocks in my hands. I want to shove them over my body, and it makes me feel good. I'm gonna do it. That's it. Like, what does it matter? Why is it bothering you?
Well, you know what? And it's funny you mentioned like that, but it is. There is that stigma, and there is that way people look at you. But you actually said a really important point, and the important point is, it may, and I say may, it may be doing nothing for you, but what it may be doing is using something positive to, make you feel better. That's what you said. You're like,
right.
maybe it's just like a placebo, but it's making me feel better. And I'm not saying it is a placebo. I'm just saying.
Right. Exactly.
But what if it is? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What if it is? We always tell people on the show, it's almost, I think every week, we're like, just do what you want to do. Stop giving a shit about what everybody else thinks.
Who cares?
We say it I think we say it every week, right?
Yeah.
If it makes you happy, who gives a crap? You want to run around naked around the whole neighborhood, have a good time.
Yeah, Andrea started that, like, just do you. It doesn't matter, like, what anybody's views are or what they think. As long as you feeling good about it, then that's what matters. So
Yeah. Yeah. I've been saying that for years. And then
Yeah.
then it all like started, a lot of people
Oh,
started saying it.
good.
And, you know,
Good.
hey, I was like, good. Now it's be you. Now they change it to be you instead of the do you.
Oh,
Now they say be you a lot of the times.
Mhm.
And,
That's
you know,
good.
I just say, who gives a shit what everybody else thinks? That's
there you go.
right.
That's right.
Right.
'Cause at the end of the day, I was told one time, even in business, at the end of the day, you don't want to be 70, 80, 90 years old, laying in your deathbed
Mm.
with regrets.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
I mean, who wants to be laying there? You can't move, you can't do anything. You have your mental, somewhat, but you're sitting there with all these regrets that you didn't even live your life
Mm.
that you could have lived because you were afraid of what?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Was somebody
Yeah.
making fun of you, or and that's a tough situation too, but you don't want to say I think it's tougher to live with regret.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure.
So I
For sure.
shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I know, Randy, just by, meeting you in this short exchange here on our podcast, I know you're living life with no regrets. I mean,
Yeah.
talk about a man who is like, an entrepreneur who, served our country and, opened yourself up to so many different things. And I think that's so admirable. And I'm just really
Yeah.
grateful to you and glad to hear your story and really your perspective. I think it's just enlightening. So thank
Mhm.
you.
And now that you're in, now you're in real estate, like there is
Yeah.
a lot, there is a lot to unpack with you.
Yeah.
I learn something new every time we have a conversation.
Absolutely.
So, you know what? I love it. Yeah. So we're going to definitely, with I want to ask you really quick with real estate,
Mhm. Yeah, I'm curious.
where do you see yourself going from here?
Oh, wow. Where do
What's your 5-year plan, Randy? No.
my 5-year
No.
plan? Well, I think I don't know.
If you could have it all, everything you want right now, what would that be?
So first of all, I've set some goals in my life, and I'm sure anybody entrepreneur or business minded, listens or watches some kind of mentor or some kind of positive person, affirmation or whatnot. And I know we mentioned Unblinded, right?
Mhm.
What's his name? Mr. Calgary?
Sean Calgary.
Sean
Yeah.
Calgary,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And he's a real positive person, which is really cool. And he's done a lot of things in his life. And he's really reaching out to the community and the business community and just in whole, just people in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I mismentioned that to say, one positive guy that he made a quote and he says, just, be there for people, love people. And you'll never reach your highest potential that the goal that you put. So if I say I want to make $30,000 a year, I'll pretty much make that, but I'll never make above that, if this makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
So a goal for myself that I put is I want to be a multimillionaire, and I've set a goal of 500 million. And when I make that, yeah, I might make a little bit more than that, but that's where I want to be. Some people want to be a billionaire, and that's great. Me, I want to be 500 millionaire. You know what I mean? So I've set that bar, I've set that goal, and that way I have something to obtain. Yes, it's to the moon, right? It's to Mars, but it's not. And if you've ever also watched the movie Secret, you ever watched the movie Secret?
The Secret. Yep.
No, I have not.
Oh, you got to watch that.
Oh yeah, you gotta watch The
down.
Secret.
Yeah,
Better write it down.
I wrote it down.
You and your crystals, write it down.
Yeah, you're gonna love it.
I am.
So it's a real good positive thing. So anyway, that's you have to set goals. And even the one guy even said on there, he says, you'll know that you've hit this goal only from what I've taught you of how to use and make a goal, if that makes
and your vision and
vision, exactly.
yeah. Well, I love that.
Where am I going to be? I'm going to be a multi-millionaire soon. I'm not sure exactly when, but I also don't, I explain myself like this. It's not just about the money to me, but it's about how many lives I think that maybe I can impact out there with the finances, if that makes sense.
I love that.
I'm definitely a type of person that wants to give back to the community. And I feel that the more monetary, the more financial you have, that you can give more back. You can make things happen.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. The more financially free you are. Yeah.
Absolutely.
The more you
That's one of my goals.
give. Yeah.
We're talking about the veterans. I really want to give back to the veterans, and I have. I've been on, I've been in the Lions Club before. I've give back to the community, and I don't want to just take. So
yeah, we look forward to seeing what you're going to do, and when you hit that 500 mil, we're going to have you back.
That's right.
We're going to have you back before then. I mean, come on. But unless you make it tomorrow, then I guess we can't be there that fast. but yeah, so good luck to you for that. And I hope that we are a part of all that and a part of the solution and your solution, in giving back. And, I love talking to you. I could talk to you for like hours every day.
Yeah, Randy, you have like this like calming, like type of, I don't know, like vibe about you. I definitely see that. And it was just such a great joy to have you here with us today. And appreciate you sharing like your walks of life and, and imparting your wisdom. And I know that I see a lot of great things in you and for you. And again, we're really just thankful that you came on, and hopefully you won't be a stranger to us. You're now our friend. I know that you've already established that friendship with Andrea, but now you're my friend too. And so we definitely want to see you circle back to us, so we can just shoot the shit. So
I love it.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And if anyone wants to connect with you, we will have all your information listed, and you give me everything you want people to have. If there are veterans that want to reach out to you, if there are people that just want to talk to you and get to know you on the real estate side, if they want to know anything about the pawn shop, they can always contact you.
Whatever you want to know, I'll let you know.
Yeah. So thank you for being here.
Thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
And thank you for your service.
Yes, and thank you for your service. And again,
I appreciate you guys once again, or ladies once again, for having me. And this has been a wonderful time. And once again, we circle back to the National Health, Mental Health Awareness.
Absolutely.
I think that's a great thing to talk about and just get out there to the veterans and just other people. And, my message to them, even for that, is you may not believe it's going to work, or you may not think it's going to work, or you may not think that people are in your corner, but you have a person in your corner right here, which is Randy.ray. And I'm in your corner. And I can tell you that, these things work. And, just to get out there and, just keep moving forward, take one day at a time. My sister gave me a bracelet, and, I pick on my sister. She's 10 years younger than me, just briefly. And I said, she'll give me a present, and I kind of like scrutinize it and pick it apart. And she goes, really? Like, that's messed up. Why can't you just be grateful for it? She's not understanding. I am grateful for it, but like, I still got to pick it apart with her. That's my little sister, But I mentioned that to say, it says one day at a time. You probably might know.
That's my favorite.
And I've been wearing this for 2 years, and I haven't taken it off. So, it's just one day at a time. And you not only have me out there that's for the veterans and for you, or, people that are going through, you also have Andrea and you have Jeannette. So this is a wonderful thing.
Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
beautiful reminder. One day at a time. That's how we're going to close it out.
One day at a time.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Randy, for hanging out with us. And thank you for the listeners for tuning in. And remember, take it one day at a time. And you're listening to Webb's Women.
where exposure brings strength.